Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Trediak. I'm the Northborough Senior Center Director, and I am here with Justin Souza, who is our Veterans Agent here in town, and also with our Police Chief, Bill Liver. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. We have an important topic to discuss, um, and it really does affect everyone here in town. So as we all know, the coronavirus pandemic is still ongoing. And what we've been seeing is that scammers are really taking advantage of the situation. You've probably gotten a phone call, a robocall, an email with a suspicious link, a text to your cell phone, or even one of those strange middle of the night calls saying, Grandma, Grandpa, I'm in jail and I need bail money. That's a common one we've heard lately. So we decided to get together and talk about this a little bit more, so you can best know how to protect yourself and know what to be on the lookout for. So I'm going to turn it over to Justin Souza, our veterans agent, to talk about specific scam that he's been hearing about lately. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Liz. I'm Justin Souza, Director of Veteran Services for the town of Northborough and the district that serves a few other towns in the area. Recently, through a state association of veteran service officers, I became aware of a specific scam from an organization called the United American Veterans. And this is actually a super PAC who is posing as a nonprofit that helps homeless veterans and is soliciting for donations. But it's a super PAC that is supporting political campaigns across the country. So they will call and they will ask you for a donation, and they will be very forceful to the point where then they will put you on with someone who will try to take your credit card information right over the phone. And they're asking for a pretty high amount of $35, it seems, when they call. They've called 2 or 3 people that have also then spoken with their veterans agent, and those veterans agents have put out word throughout the state. So we're trying to make our veteran customers aware of what's going on. And I think it's good for everyone in general to know about those types of scams. If you are not sure who the agency is that's calling you, soliciting money, do not donate to them. You have an American Legion in Northborough that directly helps veterans, and they could also recommend other programs that may be in need, like the Massachusetts Military Families Fund. They are a vetted Massachusetts statewide association or organization that directly helps deployed family members of deployed service members who are overseas if they need help with bills or food or baby supplies, things like that. So there are legitimate organizations throughout the state that could definitely use your money if you're looking to donate. Just be sure you know who you're donating to. That's pretty much my spiel. I wanted to make sure people are aware, because especially now that Veterans Day is coming around, those scam calls are probably going to increase. And now I will turn it over to Police Chief Bill Liver. Thanks for being with us, Chief.
My pleasure. We see them all because people find them. Unfortunately, oftentimes we are learning about them after folks have fallen victim to it. And I know for sure that there are plenty of victims out there that out of sheer embarrassment haven't reported, especially with our seniors. They're proud and don't want to admit to defeat, and they were suckered. But there are avenues that we can pursue to recover money. It has to be done quickly. The state does have victim witness compensation funds, depending on the circumstances, the type of larcenies. And if it's like a wire fraud type case or a Western Union type where there's money's being wired, there is the ability to freeze some accounts. We have to act quickly. It's a very short window of opportunity, but we can do that. It's sometimes successful. The bigger threat to what's going on right now, I should say, the more common scheme that has actually been costly to some of our seniors has been the grandpa, grandma, I'm in jail. I got locked up. Oftentimes they're out of the country. Or spring break, they were down in Mexico, or they're in some inaccessible place right at the moment. and they've been arrested and they've been charged with drunk driving and hitting somebody, and that they're being taken to some horrible prison someplace, but they need bail money, and that the players are they're preying on the grandparents' relationship with grandchildren, because they'll make the phone call. They'll actually have a teen or a young person make the phone call, and they have data mined all sorts of social media outlets to find out what your family is about. A lot of folks are on social media, Facebook, and other platforms, and you'll post pictures of your family, and there'll be notations. Johnny's graduation from high school, so they know there's a grandson. They know his name is Johnny, and they know that the grandparent's name is Esther, because that's in her name, because she's online. And it doesn't take too much effort to put the names together and to build a somewhat plausible storyline that someone's going to fall for, especially if the person sounds like they're upset or on the verge of crying. Their voice is shaking, so they may not sound exactly like my grandson or granddaughter, but it's very rarely a granddaughter. It's most often a grandson, and at least in this country, you're going to get a call from the family member. Okay, everybody in America gets a phone call when you get arrested, so that's why sometimes they're out of state, out of the country. Because everybody fears that call from my grandson's in some horrible Mexican jail somewhere. So I don't know the process down there, so I can't speak to it. But I'm thinking that it's probably similar to ours, but I can't speak to that. And again, they'll prey on that trusting relationship, and they'll please don't tell my parents. If I can get the bail, I can get out of here, and they'll dismiss the charges, and I'm just going to come home. And we have, in the past several months, had several victims here in town, all seniors, of course, and all with legitimate grandchildren, by the name that they're being posed as. And some of them have lost considerable sums of money. One slightly under $15,000, another one just under $11,000. We had another person that was going to send $25,000, but they spoke to somebody first and they called us. We were able to intercept that. So that one is becoming very expensive for some people. And it's usually not done that way. You don't get a telephone call from someone saying he needs $25,000 bail money or he's going to go to prison. And then what did happen in one was the person, they wired some money. I think, I don't know what the exact number was. It was over $5,000. And then they got a subsequent phone call saying that the charge had been increased because the woman that was driving the car was pregnant and lost a child. So now they've increased that to motor vehicle homicide, and now the bail is up to $25,000. So they need the balance of that. Just swallow the pride. I hate to say it, and call your grandson or granddaughter's telephone if you've got their cell phone number. What you're going to find out most times is that they're absolutely perfectly fine. They're in school. They're out with their friends. And it's just a scam using their information that they got off of Facebook and other platforms. So you need to really be careful about what you post and who you link as friends and that sort of stuff. So obviously also right now we are being inundated with fraudulent reports of fraudulent unemployment claims. We probably are getting at minimum 4, sometimes 6 a day for the last month or so. Every town around us is getting it. It seems to have gone around the state, and now it's in our area. So if you get a phone call, it's usually for folks that are employed. You're not going to get a phone call for unemployment benefits if you're retired. So, but for everybody else in town that isn't, or if you do still work part-time someplace, you'll get a call from like Human Resources or the owner of the company if it's a small outfit. And they'll ask, did you apply for unemployment benefits? Most everybody now knows that that's not the case. They'll just notify them, look, someone applied for benefits in your name. And really there's very little to do. There's very little for us to do. There's no way we can investigate them all. And most of these numbers and the people that are applying that are doing the falsification and filing them that money's going to go to an address someplace. And as soon as the first check gets cut, they're going to call back and they go, oh, I just changed my address. It could be to a PO box or a private post office mailbox, or anything like that. So be wary of that. And one of my pet peeves is people that call for law enforcement organizations, just like Justin said, calling for veterans. I have actually been at my home, and I have actually been at my office, and I've had police organizations call saying they're calling representing the Northborough Police Department. And several years back, when I was a lieutenant, I was sitting at my desk and my private line rang. And I picked it up and they said, "Hello, this is Officer William Liver calling on behalf of the Northborough Police Department, Police Association, and we're conducting our annual fundraiser." And I said, "Really?" So I trapped that call, and it came back to a boiler room. That's what they call them over in Marlborough. They basically will rent a room someplace, and they'll have the phone company come in and they'll install like 20 phones, and they'll hire people to come in and make the sales pitch off of a script, and they work on a commission. If they sell a $500 ad in the magazine, they get money. Now, there are legitimate fundraising companies out there that will say they're calling on behalf of the police. We get calls all the time from people, "Are you doing this?" 99.9% of the times, we are not doing a fundraiser. And there's all sorts of names to these organizations. There's the Sheriffs and International Police Association Relief Fund. You just put whatever string of names you want to, and call it a relief fund. They're raising money for to assist police in obtaining equipment. And I've actually had phone calls where I'll ask them. I said, "Well, does my local police department benefit from that?" And they'll say, "Oh, absolutely. We've given this and that and the other thing." I can assure you that we have never, ever received any financial aid or any equipment or any purchases are made on our behalf by any police agency that claims that they do. So the only fundraiser that is done by this police department is through the Northborough Police Association, and that is a legitimate benevolent association that is used, like if officers become ill off duty, or if they, have a little sick time, or if they come into financial difficulties because of an injured on duty injury, and they can't work, or they're cleaning gutters and they fall off a ladder and break a leg, they're not getting paid. You have to use sick time. And if they don't have enough sick time, the association will pitch in and basically kind of help. They also make donations back to the town. And there's dozens of things that the association has done over the year to communities, supporting youth sports groups, to the high school sporting groups, building playgrounds in the past. The old playground on South Street, McAfee Field, was paid for by the association. All of the flags at the veterans memorials, the markers at the street corners with the two flags on them, those were paid for by a lot of them were paid for by a significant donation by the police association. So those are the sort of things that the Northborough Police Association does with that money. And they used to hire a company to call and do that. And those companies get sometimes 70% of the dollar that you donate to cover their costs. Some of them are as high as 75%, and the organization that they're soliciting for only gets like 25%. So I can tell you that the Northborough Police Association doesn't do that any longer. They send out a mailing. It just says, "Hey, here we are with the Northborough Police as our annual appeal. If you want to donate, donate. And if you don't, fine." And believe it or not, they have better luck doing it that way than they do having someone call and say, calling for them. So I think I've taken up a lion's share of time here. So if I want to get back to Liz and see if anybody has any other comments or questions.
Well, Chief, I just heard of a new one that came up on Friday morning. A senior came in letting me know that a person had called and said that they were delinquent on their property taxes, and the only way to get back in good standing was to send gift cards to this address. So just want to stress to everyone listening, no legitimate organization will ever ask you to pay a bill in gift cards, not Amazon gift cards, Apple gift cards.
Electronic.
That should be a red flag right there. If anyone asks you to send a gift card, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, scams are rampant right now. AARP just put out that they get over 8,000 calls to their fraud and scam hotline each month. So 8,000 people are calling each month to report a scam to AARP. And as many as 1 in 10 people actually do fall victim to a scam. So it happens And if you are somebody who does fall victim to that, don't be ashamed. It's not too late to reach out to the police department and see how they can help you rectify the situation. So just be aware, and just be a little suspicious when somebody calls to ask you for money. So I want to thank Justin and Chief Liver for being here with us. And if you do have any questions, please always feel free to call the Senior Center, call the police department, call Justin's line as the Director of Veteran Services, and we'd be happy to help you out. I'll figure out if something is a scam or not a scam.
Yeah, remember, it's your hard-earned money, and you should not give it away freely. You should vet whatever group is asking for it because it's yours. You can do what you want with it, but you want to make a good decision as far as who you give it to.
The other
So
thing,
thank you.
You can use the internet back at them, because if you Google or search the organization name, you'll find all sorts of people that have gone on there and said, I fell victim to this, or they're a scam. Nothing goes to the veterans. And you can also go online to the Secretary of the Commonwealth's webpage, and under the corporate database, you can search charitable organizations, and they'll be listed. If you're soliciting funds in Massachusetts for profit, for a nonprofit or charitable organization, you have to be registered with the the Secretary of State's office, and their database is public. You can just search the name of the organization. You could actually go online and search the corporate records and charitable organizations under Northborough Police Association, and they're registered. And if there's complaints about them, they'll be there too.
So. Well, that's really good to know. I didn't know you could do that. Cool. I learned something today.
Registered, they're not supposed to be doing it.
Right.
All right. Well, great. Thank you so much. And everyone, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to call us, and we're happy to help. Thank you.